Okay, good evening and welcome to the January 14th, 2025 meeting of the Hatfield Select Board. Happy New Year, everybody. As usual, I'm going to call the meeting to order and I'm going to open the meeting by reading our public participation policy. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all other all other public meetings of the town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and committees of the town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that open meeting law affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings, but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from members of the community and conducting the required business of the Hatfield Select Board. So our first order of business tonight is announcements. We actually have several. We're going to start by reading a letter that we received today from our DPW Director, Phil Genovese. I'm writing to inform you of my intention to retire effective immediately. This decision did not come lightly, but after careful thought and with input from my family, I have decided to retire as a result of some health concerns that I'm facing. I thank you for your understanding in this matter. It has been an absolute pleasure to have served the people of Hatfield over the past 15 years. So we want to, recognize that. And do we have to actually vote to accept that, or would we do that later?
I thought typically you do vote to accept. If you want to do that later in the meeting, that makes sense.
Yeah, we just wanted to make the
business.
announcement in the beginning. We do have it as unanticipated business later, so remind me that we didn't actually, but we did want to make that announcement, first thing this evening. So, a couple of other sad notes. We want to recognize the passing of Ted Salaka. Ted was a longtime member of our ambulance department. In fact, he was our first ambulance manager, was really instrumental in getting our first ambulance, from what I understand. Longtime member of the fire department, and just a general great guy. I was, really great guy. So we were sad to learn of his passing. And also, I read in the paper the passing of Chester Prushnell, who it said was on our zoning board. I knew Chet. I didn't know he was ever on the zoning board or anything like that, but I think it said water commissioners too. So just wanted to recognize those two passings and send our condolences to their families. We have some good news. So the Healy Driscoll administration had a $3.6 million in grants that they awarded to support farmers, specifically for programs that include initiatives to improve food safety, composting, cranberry bog renovation, and climate resiliency on farms. And it's really nice to note that there's 7 farms, unless this is not a complete list.
There's a further list.
There is a further list. Okay,
but other grants that weren't quite.
But our Bardwell Farm from here in Hatfield was awarded one of these grants, which I just think is really great and worth announcing. So they'll be getting some new plastic storage bins and harvest crates with that money. So that is some good news for the evening. You said you had something you wanted to share.
Yes, if anybody noticed over the yesterday, actually, on West Street at the Prospect Meadow Farm, there was quite a commotion going on there. There was lots and lots of people there. They co-sponsored the inaugural National Care Farming Conference there, and it's a conference going on at UMass. It's going to go on through today and tomorrow. And I was told there was 48 states being represented there. So there was people from all over the place up there, and that's a really, really cool farm. I got to tour it, and it's pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
I'm embarrassed that I've never been there, quite honestly.
It was great. Really impressive.
Yeah.
You were there.
I enjoyed being there, and again, hats off to Hatfield Sean Robinson for all he does for that organization. And he started with like one person as far as an employee. Now he's up to over almost 30, and they got like 90 kids involved in that program, and I think it's great.
Yeah, Sean was here last week. We had to do a quick meeting for something. And, I think he mentioned that they're using it as the national model for care farming. And care farming is farming that engages the help of people with developmental disabilities. So people are working there and getting a lot of experience and earning some money, and it's really a beautiful thing. So congrats to the farm, and thank you both for going. I wasn't able to make it. Okay, is that it for announcements? Ed, did you have anything?
No. I'm
Okay,
good.
okay. Is anybody here for public forum? No, okay. So we're going to move right into our posted items. Our first is the consent agenda, which would be the approval of the minutes of our December 3rd, 2024 and January 8th, 2025 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of December 3rd, 2024 and January 8th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our second, actually topic 1 of our posted business is a transfer of the Class 1 license from GNS Industrial to Harrison Diesel. And I know that we have you folks here. I don't know if you want to come up to the microphone, but it does look like everything is in order here, Karen, correct? All the paperwork. I know we had you in once before, and it looks like we're ready to actually finalize that transfer and issue the new license to Harrison Diesel. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of the license of Harrison Diesel from, as indicated in the handout provided to us.
I'll second that.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Congrats. Thank you.
Unless you want to do a speech.
Sign it.
What's that?
They got a lot on their agenda. This is the updated application with the check. Do you guys want that now, or do you want me to bring it?
You guys paid in September for this.
You refunded it.
us.
I was trying to find that before.
Mhm.
So all that she needs.
Mhm.
I had other stuff in here too. I just didn't remember that.
That should be everything, but no, you refunded that.
Okay, I was trying to look at that. Nobody
Yeah.
could tell me. So what I'll do is that one there, I'll email it to you, but I will mail the original.
Okay,
Okay,
all right,
perfect.
thank you.
Great. Easy. Congrats. Thanks for doing business in Hatfield. And Gary, thanks for all the years of doing business in Hatfield. Gary and Mary. Okay. Thank you very much. So topic 2 is some appointments. We have an appointment to the Conservation Commission. We have Christina Hodge, who's submitted interest in being on the Conservation Commission, which is really great. And Christina is actually here with us, which is a nice treat that doesn't happen often with our appointees. So thanks for making the time to come down. And I mean, this is great. Really terrific experience. So I don't have any questions or anything. Do any of you?
No. I'll make a motion to appoint Christina Hodges to the Conservation Commission.
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Conservation Commission. You'll get instructions about getting sworn in and things like that. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. We also have an application from Nancy Shea to be on the Town Bylaw Advisory Committee, which is great. I think Nancy would be great.
I will say Nancy came well recommended by Joe LaValle. We had a nice conversation about it. And I also had a good conversation with Nancy as well. She had some great ideas and is very interested in being involved.
That's great. That's terrific.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Nancy Shea to the Town Bylaw Advisory Committee at-large position.
Second that.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. That's great. And as always, I'll put a plug in. There's always openings on a variety of different town committees and boards. So if you're interested, there's information on the website, right, about openings, vacancies. And I think you just come down to Town Hall and fill out a form, and if you're interested in doing that. So I would encourage you to do it. It's rewarding. Okay, so topic 3 is the approval of the renewal of our mutual aid agreement with Tri-State Fire Mutual Aid, Inc. for 3 years. This is something we just do every 3 years.
This comes at the advice of the fire chief,
Mhm.
and this is kind of just providing a baseline level of mutual aid. When you think about some of the agreements that we have out there that might be a little more intensive. This is a very large agreement with a wide geographical area.
Mhm.
So this provides for mutual aid in the case of needing a significant amount of help. So
Right.
this is a good agreement to be a part of. It costs us very little, and it's a good thing to participate in.
And just so people know, I mean, this includes towns in southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, and certainly all up through Franklin County out towards Worcester. I mean, it's very big list of towns. So great. I have no problem with this.
No, I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of mutual aid agreement with Tri-State Fire Mutual Aid Incorporated for 3 years.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This one does ask for a signature from the
Oh,
chair.
yeah.
Um,
Actually,
Any copy
I'm
of
looking,
that?
I'm
you might have already.
I'm shirking my duties here. Now, hang on one second. I can sign while we move on to the next, the Tree Works.
Tree Works.
So this is to actually, so Tree Works, people would remember, we had a host community agreement with Tree Works, which is a cannabis operation out on 5 and 10, a $40,000 payment to the town, which we had negotiated with them to do some carpeting at Smith Academy, but this is to actually officially vote to allocate those funds. So we've had much discussion and decisions about this. It's just sort of the final vote to actually allocate the funds.
I'll make a motion to allocate 40,000 from Tree Works agreement to Smith Academy carpet project.
One second.
A motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and we thank Tree Works once again. That's a great use of that one-time money. Okay, so implementation process for comprehensive plan, including possible committee, forming a committee. Andrew, you want to, I mean.
Yeah, I'll take it away here. So as you all know, that the select board has approved the comprehensive plan, as did the planning board, and we are well underway of having it. We are complete in having the process accepted and filed with the state. At this point now, there's a real desire to make sure that we're finding ways to integrate this plan into the everyday functions of the town, and finding ways to not just have it sit on the shelf. We're about to print copies of it, and I keep thinking, like, these are going to be great. I hope we're taking them off the shelf,
Right.
opening them up, and looking at how to use this. There's a couple posters we're printing too of the cool visual exercise that was done to capture some of the elements of the plan, and we'll be able to put those in some areas. Maybe even this office, if that interests people, to have a visual reminder of this 2040 plan. But all of that to say, something that could work really well is there was a committee that was put together to create this plan. There's been some interest in that same committee or from other folks in the community of seeing a committee formed that would be tasked with its implementation. So the action plan is great. It's, you all know, there's different parts that are allocated to different boards and departments within the town. There's different pieces of the action plan that belong to different entities. One option is to have a committee that consists of different members of those different entities, and put them together and make sure that they're collaborating, working together, and driving the implementation of this. And I also spoke with Diana. Other options include just having it on maybe quarterly on the select board's agenda to have an update on the plan, or you could just be tasking town administrator and others with its implementation. Those are certainly some other things you could do, but this is an opportunity now for a conversation about what are some ways that you can drive forward this plan and make sure that we are checking in on it on a short-term and long-term basis.
This is just an important moment in time because the work that went into this was just phenomenal. But then this document that's been created not only has specific actionable items, but it indicates who should do it. So there's almost like a roadmap, to get some of this done. And regardless of how everyone feels we should go in terms of forming a committee or whatever, I think that there should be maybe a quarterly or whatever, if you have other feelings on that, agenda item quarterly to make sure that we're staying on top of what's happening and reporting to townspeople, how the implementation of this is going.
So, I mean, should the idea be we take some of those from the original committee, form like a subcommittee from that group to sort of stay on top of it? Or should we form a newer committee to stay on top of it? Their disadvantage is not they'd have to understand the report. Or do we keep the original committee to periodically come back and give us a report?
I like a hybrid of that. So I like the
Just
idea
a
of some
subcommittee.
people from the committee because, they're so familiar with it and
Right.
really understand, the spirit behind it and all of that. But I think bringing some new people in, particularly people who can actually participate in that to-do list, maybe from specific departments. So maybe you build a committee that has someone from the select board, someone from the police department, somebody from the school, however it shakes out. The
Yeah, I mean,
people
we
who can
go
actually,
back to the committee and ask them who would be interested from their committee of being on a subcommittee
Mhm.
of that group.
yeah, I think some should be on it for sure.
Right.
We might want to look at the charge of the initial committee. I'm not sure if, because it's an ad hoc committee, it might have dissolved once the plan was completed. I don't know if it still is.
Right,
a
so we could form a
committee.
new committee and see if some of
It's an
them
option.
want to be on it. So I guess I would look for a suggestion from either, you or, the original committee on who from the town structure should be on there. If it should be people from boards, if it should be department heads, or how it would best work. Who could sort of represent each of those sort of sectors of to-do lists. And that would give us a number of the committee. And with, I think, keeping in mind, we don't want it too big.
I want it too big. I
Too
mean,
big is just a problem quorum-wise and schedule-wise and.
might be one person from the planning board that's on there because I don't know if any bylaws may need to be incorporated or changed to implement some of the plans within that
Right.
That's
task.
Mhm.
Yep, I would absolutely think planning board. I would ask for consideration, town administrator, since the town
Mhm.
administrator is involved in the writing of the plan. You could consider a select board representative. That might be helpful. I think you'd want to probably consider having some school representation, since that's a major one in there. If planning board's there, you can think about if conservation might want to be represented as well. There's a significant amount of thinking about conservation land. I think agricultural advisory committee makes sense, or at least someone to represent farmers. That's a major portion of the plan. Trying to think of the other headlines that are in there. I think emergency management probably makes sense to represent as well, since this was a plan that was written in part about how to manage for potential emergencies, specifically floods that could occur. So between those, you're off to a good start. And then you probably want one or two at-large members. Oh, no, historical preservation in some way should probably be represented.
Yeah.
Historic.
I mean, basically,
are
you
all
have
there.
all these pieces of the puzzle for people that are representing different parts of that plan.
Mhm.
So if you're going to implement, say, the culvert plan, it's going to take certain people that are familiar with the culverts in order to see how to get them clean and then fall through on either getting grant money or some kind of timeline for the future. And on some of the other parts of the plan, it's going to be other people with expertise in those fields to try to see if we can implement those items. I mean, building everything up out of the floodplain ain't gonna happen overnight, right?
No.
I mean, that's, but
Yeah, some items are heavier lifts than other items, but that's a good start. I mean, I guess maybe have a conversation with maybe with Stephanie and see, sort of run that by her and see if she has any additional input. And then maybe we could have a suggested list.
maybe they could prioritize, 1 to 5 years, hoping for this part of the plan gets implemented, 5 to 10, maybe this part of the plan, and then blah, blah, blah.
We've also asked in a grant application for assistance from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission in staffing this effort, should it materialize. Some help from them in facilitating and adding some resources to some of these meetings. So we'll see if that comes through.
Well, and also, I mean, if let's say they're talking about, something to do with agriculture or farming, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone has to be on the committee, but they can certainly invite, some of our farmers in to have input on it. And so,
Is there an interest in establishing such a committee tonight, and then we could even post for those at-large positions if we end up with them, or would you like to have a proposal brought to you and we'll talk about it at the next meeting?
I'd rather have a proposal about
Yeah, give you
the makeup of it.
Yeah, we need
a chance
structure.
to
yeah.
talk to
We need a little
people
structure
and
to it. I
Yeah.
think.
figure things out.
I don't think that's a problem at all. All right, I'll come with an idea for the next meeting.
Are you all set with that topic? Are you, Ed, all set with that?
Yes.
think
And
it's a good
Greg?
idea. Yeah,
Okay.
We got a plan.
I'll add one other thing is that early discussions have started even in like the capital planning committee to think about, what are ways that we can make sure that in our capital planning and other areas, we're bringing in what we talked about in this plan. So maybe it's in the ranking of capital projects. You could add a criteria. Does it take under advisement what was recommended in the 2040 plan? So there's sorts of ways that we can try to build it into decisions that we make
Mhm,
across the town. I think that'd be a great thing to do.
mhm. Sounds good.
We'll keep that conversation going on Thursday.
That'll be Thursday night.
Mhm.
Our meeting Thursday night. Okay, so topic 6 is there's a request for a wage increase for the Council on Aging Director Jerry, who we all know is doing an incredible job. Is this wage, is this within the budget?
So I think we want to invite our Council on Aging staff to speak.
sure.
We have some representatives here. I will say that, yes, this was brought to me as being within the budget and also coming from the COA's formula grant. So I think that
Oh.
COA staff and board members will speak more to this.
This, okay, sure.
If that's,
I mean, sure, if you want to. Go ahead, Cookie. We always would like to hear from you, Cookie. Go ahead.
Here goes my mouth.
Mhm.
Everything's within the budget.
Okay,
We have the formula grant that we've been receiving for numerous years. So there's money left from that and then a balance left from our regular budget. So it's not coming from, it's coming from within we have.
okay.
And we've all approved it. And it's bringing Jerry up to date. I'm sorry, up to the level of the next person, the town of Deerfield,
Mhm,
Jennifer Remillard.
mhm.
So she's getting $63,432, and this would bring Jerry up to just about that same amount.
Right, so about a $3,000 a year pay increase.
Right.
I have no problem with it.
I mean, I know she does a great job for the
Does a
council.
really great job.
And she's definitely deserving of it. And because you do have it in your budget, that helps make the decision a little bit easier for
Mhm.
me.
Yes, it
So
does.
I don't have a problem with it either.
I'm sure that it'll trigger an increase in your next year's budget line.
Probably.
Yeah, so. Okay. I don't have a problem with it. Jerry's doing a
that?
great job.
She's doing a great job.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion on
I
that?
keep employees.
Yes, we do need a motion.
I'll make
on
a
it.
motion to approve the increase as presented to us for Jerry Rogers as COA director.
Second that.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And that increase would be
It's about $2 an hour, a little less than $2 an
a
hour.
little bit less than $2 an hour, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down and being supportive of Jerry. That's kind. Oh my God, look at me taking up all the space. I'm sorry. I just realized that. We are just moving right along here. Good to see you, Cookie. Thanks. So DPW report, obviously, are you
handle that
prepared to
tonight.
do that?
I am.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, as far as the DPW, there's some items that I could present to you. I mean, the culvert project is ongoing. They did have a problem with the size of the pump, and they've now corrected that. So that's moving along. 5 and 10, as Greg reported, they did have power hooked up. Eversource was there. I'm still not positive what else is required at the pump station. I don't know if they still need a couple pipes to tie in or not, but we'll find that soon enough because spring will be around the corner pretty soon. Upstairs, John has been working with Comcast and trying to get them to move the equipment from Smith Academy to the upstairs. Downstairs, the COA, that project, Andrew's helping out with that, making sure that stuff was moved to the pods. Pods were here, everything got moved, COA's upstairs. It's supposed to be like a 2-week project, and they started today. So, I mean, those are some of the updates of what's been happening, and the storm season hasn't been that bad so far, so we're good in that regard.
Great. Thank you, Ed.
Ed,
Okay.
thank you.
Things are moving up,
Yeah.
moving along. We appreciate that.
You scooped me on the project update. That's
Yeah.
perfect. That's great. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Perfect.
So we do have a couple of specific items under DPW report. One is to take a vote to allow deficit spending for snow and ice, which is something we do every year. The state allows for deficit spending because there's absolutely no way to budget for it. So we budget a certain amount and then deficit spend. So
Actually, when we make this motion, we've hit the target of money spent already, right? I mean, that's usually what happens. Once we spend a certain amount of money that's been allocated in the budget, then we have to make the motion. So I assume we've hit that amount.
And we want to do it just a little bit before, just in case, a storm comes in before our next meeting, and
which it will. Yeah.
which it will. That's what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Okay, so I guess
So
it
we are
doesn't matter.
almost there. If not there already, we'll know when the invoices come in, and it'll be helpful to have that vote tonight.
All right. I'll make a motion to allow us, the DPW director, to deficit spend for snow and ice.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we need to approve the Springfield MRF contract, which is Materials Recycling Facility. This is something we've been doing for decades now. And this is just allowing us to bring our recyclables to the facility.
That's correct. And this includes a 2.5% processing fee each year. That's, this is a municipal entity, so it does make sense that they'd be looking at that 2.5% as an increase. They seem like fair fees. We have not gone out for comparable pricing from other places. We certainly could, but this is where we typically go, and it seems like a rate that's fair. So
Mhm.
that's the advice of our highway superintendent, to continue with the MRF, but we can also review it in the future, certainly before the next contract extension 5 years from now.
Sounds good to me.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Springfield Recycling Facility for a 5-year contract extension.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So number 3 is the project update, which Ed has taken care of.
Good.
Number 4, maintenance of school grounds.
I'm not sure if we've gotten anything on that yet from anybody, of what they've determined on how they're going to
I
take
think we're going to
care
have to
of
push the
school grounds.
reset on that maybe. And
we will.
yeah. Okay. Can we just maybe move that to a future agenda?
I think that sounds perfect.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
I mean,
We
Yeah.
don't have any further.
Yeah.
Much else to do, no.
right, at this time, there's not much further we can do on that.
No.
However, I do really want to get to the bottom of that, particularly before we get to, mowing and weed whacking season, because that crops up every year as an issue. So we've got a little bit of time. Okay. Okay, topic 8, town administrator report.
Very good.
Have at it, Andrew.
So I wanted to begin with a COA Floors project update, and I really don't even need to because Ed mentioned it, and he also probably could tell that the work had started by walking in the building today and discovering a new odor that's out there. It's the work that they're doing downstairs has not been without some slight disruptions. So we had a fire alarm go off today, and we had this smell. However, the team that came in is doing an amazing job. They've been very good to work with so far. Capital Carpet and Flooring out of Wilmington, Mass. Two great guys who are starting on the work today. The crew might expand in size as the project goes on, but they got right to it pretty early in the morning today, and have been a pleasure to work with so far. So that's heading in the right direction. And as Ed had said earlier, it's hoping to be a 10 working day project. They've given us no indication yet of needing to change that schedule, but I think we're budgeting more like 15 working days, just because that's kind of what we expected.
So the end of January, feasibly.
End of January would be great. Yeah, and then we can get folks back downstairs in the COA and get things back to normal. But good start so far today, which was really
The
good
only
to see.
question I had on that, Andrew, there was a concern of the veterans equipment downstairs. Did
Yep.
that get moved into the bus?
Yeah, so they so far they didn't need to move it yet today. They're starting in another area, so veterans equipment will be able to move down the hall. That won't be a problem. We found some room to move it into one of the rooms there
All right.
where the floors aren't being done.
That was the only concern the COA had
Yeah.
on that particular equipment.
Yep. No, I spoke with the contractor about that this morning, so we should be in good shape.
Okay.
Should be all right. Tax title services. So I want to bring you in on a conversation before an action's been taken, and just see where this board stands on it. We do not need a vote, but just wanted to bring this to your attention. So we've been using one attorney for tax title services for some time. The work has been good. There's an interest from our treasurer's and collector's office in maybe pushing a little harder on some of our tax title work and catching up on some projects that have been slow to work on in the past. What can often happen with these projects too is they'll do all this research and all this work on it, and then it'll hit some kind of snag, and then we have to start all over again. So we're looking at some attorneys that might have a little more resources, a little more ability to up our game a little bit in this area. And we had a great conversation with Brown Legal out of Boston. They work with East Hampton and a few other towns around us. They actually worked with Newburyport as well, so I know them a little bit from my work there. And we had a great conversation with their team. They actually did some research ahead of time and looked at our list of properties and laid out a plan of like how they would plan to work with each of them. It's clear they do their homework and kind of go the extra mile for us. They're not billing us for that early work that they did just to talk things through. It's kind of a good audition, and we'd be interested in potentially moving forward with them. Their fees are a little higher than what we're working with right now, but because this can lead to revenue for the town, I think it could be worth it. And as I said before, we've had some issues in the past where maybe some work gets done and then has to be duplicated later on. So we think that maybe this is one of those areas where making a bit of an investment there would pay off for us in a number of ways. So we're interested in moving forward with them. I don't think it requires a select board vote. This is something that can be contracted by the treasurer's office. But this is the direction that we're planning on going in and reaching out to our current attorney and informing them of that. So wanted to run that by the board and see if there are any concerns.
No, I mean, I think it's great that I think that it's sort of a cyclical thing. Sometimes we've gone after the tax title things a little bit more, and then sometimes they lay around for a while. And just so people at home know, what tax title means is just properties that are pretty far back in taxes. And so it's the town really taking that effort to try to collect those taxes and clean those matters up and collect the tax revenue that in some cases is years past due. Most people in town are pretty good about paying taxes, so we're lucky in that regard. But people who don't, there should be repercussions at some point. I mean, I think the town's pretty gracious in
We had a good
giving it time.
conversation with the potential attorney about that, who we talked about how he's done payment plans and other things, and they caution against that a lot of the time, but they really want to be a partner to us, and they understand why we would do that, and they want to work with us and not try to change anything drastic. They just want to offer their expertise to help
Right.
us move some of these things along.
Right.
So, really good conversation. They want to be a partner to us, and I think it could be a good thing for the town.
I think the town's been great as far as people that have had a little gotten behind and working with those people
Yep.
to help them catch
Absolutely.
up. And the only biggie was always some property that nobody knows who owns it, and that's always been a big question. And how much money do you want to spend to figure out or take that property? It probably sometimes costs even more than what it's worth because
Yeah.
it's a small piece here or a small piece there.
And really, we don't want to own a lot of them or have to dispose of them. So each one is just sort of its own story.
Mhm.
But I think it's really, I think it's good to take a good look at it and get some kind of regular cycle going with trying to pursue those matters that are, generally speaking, pretty behind.
Basically, we don't want somebody's house. We want the taxes instead.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm glad that the treasurer and you want to make some progress with this and do a bit better work. So
Mhm.
I support it. I think it's great.
And Patty Cotton, the assistant treasurer, has been a big driving force behind this. She's very thoughtful in these things. and
Yeah.
Asked good questions to potential attorneys. We spoke to a couple firms, and she's very sharp with this, so it's very helpful.
Great. No,
Great.
I think it's worth pursuing.
Great. Okay, I want to give a quick update on if you're ready for number 3,
Mhm.
quick update on the opioid funds task force. We had our first meeting a couple weeks ago and have another meeting on Friday. First meeting went really well. It's a good group that we've been able to put together, and they elected Dr. Menz as chair of the group, so he'll continue to come to this group and offer updates when anything else happens. We're working right now on putting a survey together that can go out to the community to get ideas from the community of how to use these funds. So you said it's around $120,000 total, but over 10 years. So about half that money will be in by the end of next year. So it gives us something to work with. But at the same time, it's something that we want to be thoughtful about how to use this and preserve the money in a thoughtful way. So good first meeting, and looking forward to getting some community input on this. And I think that's really all there is to say at the moment. The survey is mostly based off of one that was put together by a small organization called Hampshire Hope that ran a opioid survey across the region to get some ideas from member communities on how to use some more funding. So that should be good, and we'll be asking for this board's help and others in getting that survey out there and finding ways to engage the community.
Yeah, and we should encourage people when they see the survey to take it and weigh in themselves. Yep. Thank you, Andrew. So we have a meeting, our meeting with the Finance Committee is not until 6:30. Do we want to skip ahead and go to unanticipated new business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the unanticipated new business is the resignation that I read earlier of our DPW director. So we need to talk about, designating an acting director.
Well, I'd
And-
like to bring up an opinion first. Now, just follow with me for a second. If the director said he was going to be on vacation for 2 weeks, everything would work the way it works. So I'm really thinking, because this has just happened, whether we should take 2 weeks to think about some of the options, because over the years, a lot of different ideas have come about on how we want to deal with that position. And maybe it's a good time to take 2 weeks to reflect on it. And because I know if for the next 2 weeks, everything's going to run fine, your Tony and Brandon will take care of the water treatment plant. Garrett will take care of his laborers, and Kenny and Miles will take care of the water treatment plant. And as you know, I don't like to rush into something right away unless I've had a chance to think about it, unless it's, life or death type of situation. So my thoughts are, let's treat that like he's on vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have the opportunity to either talk to some of the individuals in town or the superintendents, because right now we did promote all those guys to superintendent. We gave them additional money to take on the additional responsibility. So I think they'll be fine doing what they're doing right now for the next 2 weeks until we meet again. And then we can come back with ideas, because we've had a lot of different ideas, whether we should coordinate, take that position and have those folks report to the town administrator, or make that into a different position or something else. There's been a lot of discussion, because you could actually, on one hand, you could take that money and say, well, we're going to divide up these responsibilities now. I'll give a little bit more money to this person, to that person, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that's the way to go. Maybe it's not the way to go. So my opinion is, let's wait 2 weeks and really think about it, do some investigation, talk to people, and look at what other towns are doing too, to see if they have the needs. I mean, do we really need at this moment in time somebody to act, or can we wait 2 weeks? I think we can wait 2 weeks.
I don't have a problem with, but I'm not sure we're going to accomplish all of that or know all the answers to that in 2 weeks. So why would we not? I mean, I think somebody should be designated. Is there a reason we wouldn't want to designate a DPW director? I mean, I understand if Phil was just on vacation for 2 weeks, we wouldn't be, delineating someone. But he's not, and there's a lot of things to consider. You're exactly right. But do you think we're going to have all that done in 2 weeks? I mean, in 2 weeks, we're still going to.
I think in 2 weeks we'd be able to either designate somebody as the acting director, or decide that we want to change position. I mean, I think in 2 weeks, yes, because we do have those positions as superintendents.
Mhm.
Those guys are responsible for their positions. But if you guys feel you want to move ahead and say somebody's going to be somebody's got to report to somebody, that's fine. But it just happened. I mean, how do we know that the person we designate will even take that position?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we
You
know
you
that?
make
We
excellent
don't.
points.
We
there.
can't
I mean,
just
there
say,
is no
Johnny-
rush to do it tonight.
John or Mary, you got that position. They go, I don't want it. I mean,
Right. So if there wasn't a DPW director, like you said, if he was on vacation, things would still happen. Everything will still go on. The roads will still be taken care of.
I mean, at least in a
everything will still
temporary
work.
sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the board, if something was bad to happen, the board could meet an emergency session.
Absolutely.
We could jump in there in an emergency session if something major were to happen, or we could ask the town administrator to take that, because the town administrator represents the board. I mean, that's the other option for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, but the first thing that comes to mind is just making sure that we have someone authorized to say approve of contracts, expenditures, payroll, all of those things. Most of those come from within those different departments to begin with. Phil was signing off on most of those, so as long as we have someone who's still authorized, I think we're okay. But that's where it's helpful to have like an acting person, just so if there are any functions that only the director can fill, then it's being taken care of by this acting person. But I just don't know the list of what those
Well,
would
you're
be.
concerned with more of the administrative side of the house.
Yeah.
So right now, when the bills come in for Phil, does the town administrator actually review it?
Yes, I mean, you've seen the warrants. I review every bill that comes in.
I
Right.
mean, so, actually, you're the chief procurement officer also for the town of Hatfield. So, I mean, if it's administrative, so So let me walk through this process so I got it in my head. So Garrett submits his time sheet to the town hall. They put in the time, correct?
Yes.
Then Garrett submits, if he has bills, do his bills go to Phil, then the town hall, or do his bills go to the town hall?
It would go to Phil first, I believe.
For Phil to approve it and then to the town hall.
That's typically how we've done it.
Okay. So,
But you could probably make the argument that the highway superintendent has authority to submit anything for the highway department, just as the water department would
Right,
submit
so-
things for the water department.
Right, Tony would submit or Kenny would submit for sewer.
Didn't necessarily have to go through. I don't think those go through Phil first.
but I mean, if Phil wasn't in, then either Tony
I mean,
or,
Phil was out for his hip.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so how did we, before you were on board, how do we manage it then? I think they were just,
It would
The
just be submitted
superintendents
by the
were
superintendent
submitted,
and
yeah.
then signed off on by the same people who always do.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think.
so we'll put this on as an agenda item in a couple of weeks and give this some thought and,
right,
Is there anything you want the town administrator to do for research or anything else for structures of departments, or
yeah,
is
I
that
think
a
that
fair
if you
request?
can,
Yeah,
because
that
I'm
would be
gonna
good.
too, I think, see how other towns operate and stuff.
Yep.
And, I mean, there's always been discussion on that position, whether to adjust it, modify it, or possibly do something different, or take that money and give other people responsibilities. So it's just,
Get some input from the supervisors of those departments too.
that'd be important to.
Yeah.
If they want to give that input to Andrew, that'd be, or if they want to contact us, I guess. I
yeah,
mean,
if,
either
I
way,
mean, they
right?
could
Yeah.
Whoever they feel
They-
comfortable.
contact
Talking
any of
to.
us, or all of us, or
Yeah, I'd really like to
separately,
know.
or whatever.
Yeah, I'd really like to know what they think.
I would. Yep.
Or one of us can meet with all the department heads at one meeting and hash it out what their thoughts were too, right?
Yeah.
I think we should approach this in a way that we're trying to cover all the angles.
You're right, it is
Yeah.
very new, so.
So,
Use this as an opportunity for us, yeah.
so maybe if the department heads want to meet with one of us, then you can contact the chair, and if the chair is unavailable, then the chair could have one of us meet with the department heads who's available and get their input and ideas. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds
Like a
good.
meeting with the three of them? And
Yeah.
With you, Chair?
Well, there'd be four. You have water superintendent, you have the two at water, that'd be Tony and Brandon.
Okay.
And then you have Garrett, and then you have Kenny. So there's actually four, right?
But
They're
only
all-
Tony would be
I
the
would think only
department
Tony would be
head.
the superintendent.
Yeah.
They're all- Yeah, because Miles assists Kenny periodically.
Miles, I thought his name was
Matt?
Shippey,
Matt Shippey.
Matt Shippey.
He
So
works-
they're under the superintendent.
Yeah.
So I would say it would be the
Start with the
superintendent.
superintendent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt works for Kenny. And then,
Yeah, Brandon works for Tony. But I think it would be Tony, Kenny.
but
Garrett.
Brandon's position was brought up in case Tony was out, he could operate the plant.
Right.
And
That
he
would
was,
still be an assistant superintendent.
Right, he's still assistant. I
Right.
think it really just needs to be the three
yeah, I suppose the three's fine.
superintendents.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, yeah, you could contact them and see if they want to meet with the chair, and if the chair is unavailable, then the chair can designate or decide which one of us would,
Is there a
Yeah.
preference to meet with them together or separately?
probably together is fine. I don't know. Unless you,
But no,
I guess
you
it's
think
their,
separate?
if they express that they'd rather meet, I don't care. I'm open to anything. And I'm not opposed to hearing from all members of the DPW.
Yeah.
I just think that we start with the three superintendents.
yeah, that'd be fine.
That's a great point, Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and everything will run. Everything will work out.
Everything will
As I
run.
always say, everything will work out
Yes, you
eventually.
do.
You
Mhm,
don't
And it
know
does,
how.
yep.
Okay.
So we at least have to accept his resignation for now, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we do have to do that.
I'll make a motion to accept resignation of the DPW director.
What was the motion?
To accept the resignation.
Oh, I'll second that, yes.
A motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, topic 11, our fire chief is requesting permission to attend CFSI, which I assume is a, what's that? I know, I'm like, I don't know what that is. In Washington DC, which would be at no cost to the town, but he would be considered counted as work time.
So I can read this message from the chief if this is
Yeah, that
helpful.
would be great.
So he's asked to join a contingent of fire chiefs from Western Mass, specifically Hampshire County Fire Chiefs, to attend the Congressional Fire Service Institute from February 11th through 13th in DC. CFSI is a way for fire service leaders to meet with and educate our legislators about the needs and challenges of today's fire and emergency services. Main objective this year is to thank for the supporting the continuation of the AFG and SAFER grant programs, and also supporting the recent Social Security Fairness Act. Hampshire County Fire Chiefs Association is covering the costs as he's requesting permission to attend. Good opportunity for professional development, also for meeting with legislators and others. And so the e-board will be deciding this week who's selected, and if the chief is chosen, he just needs to book travel. So he might not actually be selected to go, but if he is, then we have permission already set up in advance for him to be able to take that time out of town here to attend this.
Without taking days off,
Exactly.
but not accruing comp time and stuff. That's not what
This
he's
would-
asking.
no, I
Just-
don't think
Just
that's-
not taking vacation time for the
Yeah.
days. I mean, I have no problem with it, I guess. It's not costing us anything and.
I'm okay with that.
This
um,
costs us time without our chief here on site, but I
Right,
think
I
he's
mean-
using his talents in a good place.
I have no problem with it. So we need to approve permission for him to travel because it's out of state?
Yes, that would be right.
But do we have to approve that if we're not paying for it?
An excellent question. I don't
mean,
know.
Why?
I'm not sure about that. So I think it's really just to approve that he can spend his time at this and have it be considered a work day. I
Okay,
think that's what it is.
okay.
Don't know. About
So
that.
why don't we just do the approve that he can count those days at that conference as work days?
Yeah.
And then if for some reason we find out we have to approve the out-of-state travel, I don't see why we would do that. We're not paying for it.
Yep.
That's 2
I'll check
days,
them
I
out.
believe. As I recall, that was,
11th, 12th, and 13th?
Yep.
oh, I don't
11,
have
12,
that, okay.
13.
Is it a
Okay,
bus
3 years.
trip with all the other
days.
chiefs, or
I mean, they're covering the travel. I don't think it's our
is he taking?
concern. Yeah, he's not
his
taking,
own vehicle, or what? I mean, I don't
He'd have to take his own vehicle. No, I think they would pay for travel.
yeah.
know. Okay.
But I mean, I don't think the chief's car should be out of town that
No,
long. And
can-
I,
I can make sure
even
that
to,
happens.
like, if he's flying there or whatever, I mean, he should take his own
Yeah,
personal vehicle to the airport or the train station or however they're going.
yeah, no
I'll make
cost to
note
the
of that.
town, so yeah.
And I will check on the policy for out of state travel.
But I'll make a motion that we approve those days at the conference as work days.
I'll second that.
Oh, motion made and second, sorry. We got all out of order of how we usually do this.
That's
Motion
okay.
made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I've got a message. It's just the work days that needs
Yeah.
approval. So we're
He
good.
just texted
Thank you,
me.
Chief. Doesn't miss a trick.
Yeah.
Finance comes in 7 minutes, so yeah, take a 7-minute break. So we don't have any other finished business, do we?
I don't think so. That was it.
You've gotten through your agenda.
We've gone through the agenda, so we have a couple minutes for a break before the finance committee
Okay.
comes in.
Take
Great, we're
5,
going to take
John.
a quick break.